Hello, this is chapter 14, 15 and 16 of the Leviathan of Hobbes. Leviathan was written during the English Civil War, 1640 to 1651. It was considered one of the first one to, I think, one of the first one to introduce the concept of social contract. Hobbes, of course, advocate for stronger centralized government to avoid chaos and maintain order. He writes about the what he called the nature, the state of nature, which he considers state of war. Uh, uh, he defines it at each individual has the right to do anything, the freedom of the right to do anything without any restriction. And that's put people with each other like, okay, there is no law or order. So it's a state of war because everyone wants to do everything. So he presents a concept of social contract, arguing that people can leave the state of nature and enter to the civil society by agreeing to a social contract with the sovereign. The sovereign is the government. The sovereign, he described it as the Leviathan. He described everything as the big Leviathan. Leviathan is a Hebrew word, I think, is found in the Bible, which means sea monster. And the Leviathan made from the people of a country or a nation or a state. And with the head is the sovereign, which is the government. Hobbes believed that the monarchy is the best type of the commonwealth, and uh, uh, and that the sovereign should represent the people interest, and could lead to a peaceful society with no factions or civil war. Uh, he defines the Commonwealth as an organized political body created through social contract, where individuals, later we will explain about social contracts. In this Commonwealth, individuals collectively agree to surrender of some of their freedom to the sovereign authority in exchange for a protection and maintenance of the social order. The social contract establish a powerful and unified government. The government will be strong, that possesses the authority to make laws and enforce them, ensure that peace and stability are secured. The Commonwealth came as a solution to the state of nature of state of war, where individuals act solely in their interest, leading to a constant conflict and lack of security. The Commonwealth, he called it as a mortal god and created by the individual to protect everyone. In chapter 14, he mentioned the state of nature, which I talked about, as each person a freedom to use their power for self-preservation. Of course, this means everybody can act without external restriction. So that will create some kind of chaos. Hobbes said there's difference between right, freedom to act, and law, abiding obligation. Uh, uh, in this chaotic state of nature, where everyone has the right to do anything, security it will be hard to attain. To overcome this chaos, he suggested the first fundamental law of nature: seek peace when possible. If it's not, use necessary means for self-defense. That's his first one. He introduced second law: individual should mutually agree to limit their rights for the sake of peace, aligning this with the golden rule: treat others as you wish to be treated. To prevent ongoing conflicts, we have the same concept in our culture. عامل الناس بمثل ما تحب أن يعاملوك به. The same, treat people as the way you like to be treated. Uh, uh, Hobbes said that laying down one's right involves relinquishing some freedom to prevent others from exercising this right, like full of freedom. But this doesn't create new rights for others, but reduces obstacle to them. He said about renouncing right can happen in two ways: simply by giving it up or transferring it to a specific individual or a group. Once this right is transferred, the individual must not interfere with the institute that he, like the sovereign that he transferred the rights to, because that will be unjust. Hobbes said the act of transferring or renouncing rights is always motivated by personal benefit and is done through the voluntary declaration or action or combination of both. Um, he said there are some certain rights cannot be renounced or transferred, like the right of self-defense, right of life, right of freedom from harm. So this transfer is the social contract. It's mutually passed from one to another. This contract, also called pact or covenant, that must be respected by both parties. When transfer is not mutual, such as forfeit of a right in hope to receiving friendship or a favor in return, this is a free gift. Giving is a free gift given with a grace. Uh, when you transfer your right, you say either verbally, like I give or grant, or through inference, like some kind of inference. Hobbes differentiate between contractor mutual rights transfer and gifts, rights transferred without expectation of direct return. And he also differentiate between explicit spoken like a way transferring and spoken and by other inferred agreement like silence or other action. A transfer could be based on a trust. When a party performed their obligation first with expectation of a later fulfillment by other parties. When both parties defer their obligation, trust is a key, creating a covenant, where failure to keep a promise become a violation of a faith. Covenant, this kind of covenant, it's come like between humans. It can't be acted with or signed with, of course, animals, and it can't be acted or signed with God uh, without intermediary. These are impossible because covenant require mutual understanding and acceptance. Um, Also, he thinks that promises that go against natural law are not valid or binding. Anything that doesn't go against natural law. Agreement only, and these kind of agreement only apply to future action that can be really realistically done. And like something it's hard to be done, you don't have to promise or to do it because it's impossible. Uh, uh, if someone makes a promise they know it's impossible to fulfill, it's not binding, of course. But if there is something that can be done or cannot fulfill your promise, person or entity have to offer an equivalent solution uh, to fulfill the duty if possible. Contract can be voided by distrust in uncivilized natural state where each person is their own judge and enforcer. However, within civil society, where there is power to enforce contract, these covenants are secured. And fear of consequences, legal or divine, often strengthen commitment. Rights to transfer in a covenant also imply transferring the means of enjoying them. Like when you're selling your land, you will be deprived from the enjoyment of getting fruit and crops and stuff like that. Fear of consequences comes in the form of fear, the power of spirit invisible, and of the power of those who will be offended by not implementing the contract or when the contract is broken. In the absence of a common power and civil society, the only way contract can be ensured is to swear an oath to God. But who or what one consider God varies. He said an oath is sworn where there is no belief in God is not an oath. And swearing the oath doesn't strengthen the contract. Uh, and As a covenant is bound before God, regardless if you swear an oath or you don't. Uh, Hobbes said words alone are too weak to bind people for a covenant, but this weakness is strengthened by the fear of consequences of a breaking the contract. A person can be released from a covenant in two ways, either performing the terms of covenant to the end, or he would be forgiving from any obligation to those who he transferred the right to. A contract, if you enter a contract because you're afraid, that's still a viable contract. Like, okay, I'm afraid to something will happen, I will do this. But entering a contract under torture, that is not binding and not valid. In chapter 15, Hobbes continued to talk about his 19 laws. He has 19 laws. So the third law of nature in chapter 13, he state that the individual must uphold the covenant they make. Without adherence, covenant became meaningless, and everyone retains the right to do everything. So we go back to the state of nature, state of war. These laws form the basis of the justice in the absence of covenant. Justice is a commitment to give others their due. That's his definition of justice. Is a commitment to give others their due, but without a property or governing authority, there can be no justice, as everyone has right to everything. Justice requires existence of valid agreement, which only have meaning when enforced by a civil authority. The fourth law of nature states that if someone benefits you of a goodwill, you should ensure that they don't regret their kindness. If somebody did some kind thing to you, that should ensure they will be giving thank you or gratitude. Giving is voluntarily and aims benefit the giver. And aims to benefit the giver. So it's ingratitude becomes common. It undermines the trust. If we don't appreciate what we have been given, this will undermine the trust and cooperation between the community and the people, and that will lead to conflict. So ingratitude violates this law, just like injustice violates contractual obligation. The fifth law of nature relate to complacence or enjoins complacence, that each person should work to get along with others. We have to know how to work with each other settle our difference to make the ship flow or not sink. So he resembled this to a misshaped stones. A misshaped stone, you can't fit it in a building, so they set it aside. Just like peoples, we have to deal with them because they are like selfish or like hoarding thing or taking more than uh, they their merit. So it's hard to deal with them. Uh, since everyone naturally pursue or the need to survive, those who take more than necessary create the conflict and violate the peace law, the core law of peace. Those who are violate this law called unsociable or stubborn, and those who obey it called sociable. The sixth law of nature states that a person should forgive the past offense of those who genuinely repent. If somebody should repent, we should be forgiven. Seek for, and promise to behave well. Pardon is a way, pardoning anybody is a way, if he shall repent and genuine repent, granting peace. Refusing to forgive someone show commitment to behave well. This goes against the law of nature, which promise peace. The seventh law of nature states that seeking revenge, about seeking, people should focus on past harm, but on the like people should focus not on past harm, but on potential future good. Punishment should aim to correct, not to vengeance, or not to take revenge. Revenge without constructive purpose is mere cruelty. Um, and creates hatred between among society. So, if we want to correct behavior, we should know we should put the best punishment to correct, not punishment, but a system to correct the behavior for those people who like did wrong one time. So not concentrate on revenge, concentrate on correcting behavior. The eighth law of nature state one should show hate. The state no one should show hatred or contempt towards other through action, words, expression, or gesture. Violating this law called insult on continually or insult. Oh, tell that to Biden and Harris. Uh, uh, if they don't if you don't agree with Biden and Harris, you're either a Nazi or a garbage. Good. Now, people should be treated with respect, even if they are have different view. Hobbes, he doesn't agree with Aristotle that people has strata or layer. Those who with the gold metal should rule, and those who with base metal should be ruled. He said this is not fair because people will accept to be ruled if they felt of the sense of perceived equality and equity. The ninth law of nature states that every man should acknowledge every other as his equal by nature. This is we have it in our religion. Prophet Muhammad said, "Everybody in the world is as equal or as the teeth of a comb." When you see a teeth of a comb, the teeth, all of them equal. That's everybody is equal. People like differentiate according to how hard they work. That's the only thing you have to differentiate between their ability to work, ability to produce good. A violation of this law called the pride. 10th law state that entering peace agreement, no one should demand a right for themselves that way we didn't allow everyone else. The rights should be equal for everyone. Uh, uh, People must keep essential light, like those protect their bodies, access basic necessity, air, water, move freely. If anyone's on keeping right, they won't allow others. They break the law, the natural equality. the rule of natural quality and disrupt peace. Those who abide by this law called modest, and those modest, and those who don't abide by this law called arrogant. The 11th law of nature states that the judge must be impartial and fair both parties in a dispute This is very important because without fairness, conflicts, conflicts can only be resolved through war. If there is no fair judgment, people resort to conflict. Favoritism in judgment discourage people from using the system, using the judges, and this is also a violation of basic law of peace. Uh, so, fairly distributing what each person deserves, called equity or disruptive justice, while unfair is non-favoritism. A judge shouldn't favor a party over a party. This is called favoritism. The 12th law of nature states that if someone cannot be divided, if something cannot be divided, it should be shared equally if possible. If equal sharing is impossible, it should be divided in a fair way, reasonable way. The 13th law of nature states that for things that cannot be divided or shared, the solution is a lottery. A lottery should be decide who gets it or who uses it first, as it ensures fairness. There are two sorts of lottery, two kinds: arbitrary and natural. An arbitrary lottery is one that all the competitors agreed upon. A natural lottery is based on either who was first get it or who was first possess it. The first took possession. The 14th law of nature states that things that cannot be enjoyed in common or divided ought to be judged to have been acquired through lottery to the first possessor, or in some case the firstborn. When lottery isn't feasible, the right to undivided thing should go to the first person possess it, or in some case the firstborn. The same as the other one. The 15th law of nature states that peace mediator should be granted safe passage, since peace requires negotiation. Negotiation requires safety. Negotiation requires no conflict, and we have to accept the mediation or mediator without causing conflict to those who perform it, the mediators. The 16th law of nature states that when dispute arise, they should be settled by impartial arbitrator. When men have controversy, they should submit their right to a judgment from impartial arbitrator. And this is important. The arbitrator should be impartial and not benefit, like each side of the conflict should be treated equally. The 17th law of nature states that no man is a fit arbitrator in his own case. You couldn't be a judge for a case that you have a stake or interest in. That's wrong. The 18th law of nature states the judges or arbitrator must be neutral, with no personal stake of an outcome, to ensure fairness. Like if a judge or arbitrator, I give thumbs the scale towards a party against the other party for money or something, that is also wrong. That's not fairness. The 19th law of nature: judge should be in dispute over facts. A judge should give equal consideration to each party. If this is necessary, to secure impartiality, a third party should be used as a witness to prevent unsolved conflicts. This is a great way to resolve a conflict with impartial third party. Chapter 16 of persons, author, and things personated. Hobbes focused here on the concept of personhood representation, and authority related to the Commonwealth. He gave the definition of personhood. A person is someone who represents themselves or another. A person can be individual or collective such as institutional state. The representation can happen on behalf of oneself or others. Depending on whether one acts independently or acts as an agent. Actors and author, he differentiate between things. Natural person, he differentiate natural person, those who act in their own behalf, and artificial person, those who represent someone else, like the sovereign and the Leviathan, the head. When a person represents other, the represented is called author. He or she or whatever, responsible for the action of a person representing them. That he is, talk to my lawyer, talk to my agent. He is the one who represented, like that, stuff like that. The sovereign, just like I say, the sovereign represent the people because there's agreement between the people and the sovereign that the sovereign represent them. Hobbes highlight the authority stems from consent. If there is no consent, there is no authority. When individuals authorize someone to represent them, they effectively bind themselves to follow the decision made by the representative. Application to the Commonwealth. Hobbes implies that these people in the Commonwealth, the social political entity, of course, created collectively, agree to authorize the sovereign to represent them. I'm sorry, just there are some stuff that I forget. Hobbes also mentioned a multitude, the definition of multitude. A multitude is a large group of individuals who come together and agree to form a political body of the Commonwealth. This collective body, of course, is essential to creating sovereign authority. The multitude authorize the sovereign to act on their behalf, to serve on their behalf, and the sovereign becomes the artificial person that embodies the collective will of the people to ensure the interest of the people being represented. The multitude, when unified, this is important, the idea of unity, when unified under sovereign authority, can maintain peace and stability. Without such unity, individual would revert to a state of nature, state of war, which is, characterized by lack of security and conflict. He concentrated on the word person. A person, he said, is a Greek word. It's the same as an actor. And it is the job of a person to personate both on stage and in real life. Whoever owns the actions of a person or an actor is an author, but inanimate things cannot be cannot be authors, like a church, a hospital. This is, it's inanimated thing. So these object can be like not represented, but a caretaker, like the caretaker of a church is the priest or minister or else. Children's also cannot be author. Fools or madmen cannot be author because they like reasoning. They like real reasoning. Well, in conclusion, I think Hobbes advocate for a powerful centralized authority through personhood or representation. Individuals should agree to surrender some of their personal freedom to an authority that represents their collective will, ensuring society stability and self-preservation. Hobbes argues that honoring the laws of nature promotes social cooperation, justice, equity, gratitude, and humility. My question is first, in the light of the rise of crime, inflation, poverty, and the influx of illegal immigrants, do you believe that the citizens of the United States are still the true authors of a country's commonwealth? If your answer is yes, why do you think citizens make decisions that may undermine their own interest? If no, then who do you believe is responsible for shaping the rules and policy that govern the United States? Second question: Do you agree with Hobbes that granting authority to the sovereign power is the only way to avoid the chaos of a state of nature? Additionally, do you believe that the United States government honors or violate Hobbes' 19th laws of nature? Thank you.